Did you know that Emiliano Martínez wasn't a first-choice keeper for any club until he was 27? He was a backup goalkeeper with no path forward. Yet, somehow, through pure stubbornness and self-belief, Martínez went from Arsenal's forgotten man to the most feared penalty stopper in world football. A man who stared down Mbappe, broke Van Dijk's composure, and turned penalty shootouts into psychological warfare so intense that FIFA literally changed the rules because of him. Before he became the World Cup's mischievous villain, Martínez was Arsenal's invisible man. He joined as a teenager from Independiente, a kid with no European reputation, no youth tournament buzz, just a dream and a desire to buy his father a car. But from day one, he was buried under a mountain of big names. Szczesny, Fabianski, Ospina, Petr Cech. Arsenal always had another number one. Martínez was the guy who warmed up the crowd before the real show began. His story was a loop of frustration, loan after loan, each one promising opportunity but delivering heartbreak. Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Getafe, Wolves, 6 loans in 9 years. One week, he'd be called up. The next, he'd be shipped out. At one point, he went 389 days without a single first team appearance. He was living the dream on paper, but in reality, he was invisible. The goalkeeper no one trusted enough to start. But even in the shadows, Martínez was quietly sharpening his craft. Teammates spoke about his cat-like reflexes, the way he would spring low to his left or claw a bullet from the top corner. Arsene Wenger once called him the future. But that future always seemed one game away. And when that game finally came, a chaotic League Cup tie against Reading, 5 goals went past him and the door slammed shut once again. Even when Petr Cech retired, Arsenal signed Bernd Leno for a record fee. The message was clear. Martínez wasn't the future. He was the insurance policy. By 2019, he was 27, an age where most goalkeepers are entering their prime. And yet, he was still waiting for a real chance. He had promised his mother he wouldn't return to Argentina as a failure, but each passing season made that promise harder to keep. And then, when football itself was turned upside down by the pandemic, fate finally cracked the door open. Leno's ACL injury changed everything. The forgotten man was suddenly the only man left standing. That brief window was all Martínez needed. He didn't just fill it, he stole the spotlight. Commanding, emotional, unshakable, his presence helped Arsenal lift the FA Cup, and for the first time, the world saw what a decade of rejection had built. When he left Arsenal for Aston Villa in 2020, it wasn't a goodbye, it was a breakthrough. Aston Villa fans were fuming. A 28-year-old backup keeper was supposed to be their savior? To them, it looked like a panic buy, a desperate signing. But for Emiliano Martínez, it was destiny disguised as doubt. On his Villa debut, fate wasted no time testing him. As Sheffield United striker, John Lenderstrom, stepped up to the spot, eyes fixed, boots ready. Martínez crouched low, chest heaving, scanning every twitch, every breath. The whistle blew, the striker struck, and Martínez launched himself right, palmed the ball out of the air like it was nothing. He roared, pounding his chest, and Villa Park erupted. In one leap, he'd gone from panic buy to instant hero. Within weeks, he was posting elite shot-stopping numbers. The doubters were now singing his name. For the first time in his career, Martínez wasn't backup. He was the backbone. But that was only the prologue. His legend was about to take flight, and this time, it would be wearing Argentina's crest. The Albiceleste were desperate. They needed a wall, a leader, a savior. Someone who could end their decade-long goalkeeping curse that stretched back to Goalkeeper. Martínez, who hadn't worn the Argentina shirt since his U17 days, suddenly got the call. After years of watching from his couch, he was now standing behind Lionel Messi. The moment felt unreal. Argentina didn't call him for sentiment. They called him because they needed saves. And Martínez delivered. Copa America 2021 became his proving ground. Against Uruguay, against Paraguay, he commanded his box like a general. But in the semi-final against Colombia, the world met Dibu, the other side of Martínez, the talker, the tormentor, the mind game master. As the match drifted into penalties, Martinez transformed the shootout into psychological warfare. Every step, every stare, every word was calculated chaos. "I know you, brother. I'm gonna eat you alive," he hissed, eyes locked on Yerimina. He danced, delayed, and disrupted, turning a calm routine into panic. What he understood, better than anyone, was that penalties aren't about reflexes alone. They're about psychology. One tiny seed of doubt, one extra heartbeat of hesitation, and the goal shrinks. Martinez cracked Colombia's composure like glass. 3 saves, 3 shattered minds, Argentina advanced, Messi roared, and the legend of Dibu was born. The final against Brazil sealed it. He didn't need a shootout this time. Just courage, command, and steel nerves. He smothered every cross, silenced Neymar, and watched as Di Maria's goal brought glory back to Argentina after 28 years. When the whistle blew, Martinez fell on his knees and wept. From forgotten loanee to continental champion, he had climbed the impossible. His numbers were staggering. A 50% penalty save rate, a golden glove, and the respect of an entire nation. But more powerful than the stats was the image. A keeper who made penalty shootouts feel like a duel of willpower rather than luck. He had changed how the world viewed the position. In Qatar 2022, Emiliano Martínez wasn't just Argentina's number 1. He was their weapon. Opponents knew his tricks, his antics, his swagger, and still they couldn't beat him. The World Cup began with disaster. 2 goals conceded to Saudi Arabia and global criticism rained down. But Martinez didn't flinch. He reset. Game by game, save by save, he rebuilt Argentina's belief. Against Australia, he produced a miracle. A last-minute stop that kept Argentina alive. Against the Netherlands, he unleashed his full dark arts. After Argentina squandered a 2-0 lead, the penalty shootout loomed. Van Dijk stepped up first, confident, poised, until Martinez locked eyes. He bounced, delayed, stared. The Dutch captain blinked first. Martinez's arm stretched. The ball cannoned off it, and history repeated itself. That's the genius of Martinez. He doesn't just save penalties. He dismantles the striker's confidence before the ball is even struck. And once doubt creeps in, even the cleanest technique starts to crumble. Martinez knew that better than anyone, and used it again on Steven Berghuis. Same stare, same swagger, same result. Another save, another roar, and suddenly the Dutch were done. As Argentina celebrated, Martinez turned towards Louis van Gaal, shouting words that cut through the noise. A taunt aimed at the veteran coach who'd mocked Argentina's style. It was savage, maybe unsporting, but it was vintage Dibu, restless when it mattered most. But then came the final, the grandest stage, the heavyweight clash of Messi versus Mbappe, a match that will live forever. Argentina surged, France clawed back, hearts broke, then mended only to shatter again. Martinez watched Mbappe bury not 1, not 2, but 3 penalties across normal and extra time. Yet he never flinched. And in the dying seconds, when Ronald Colomwani burst through one-on-one, destiny hung by a thread. Martinez exploded off his line, flinging out his left leg. The ball cannoned off his shin. A save that didn't just win a game, it saved a nation. The scream he let out after echoed across Lusail like thunder. Then came the shootout. And this was peak Martinez. Every trick, every delay, every ounce of chaos unleashed. He tossed the ball away, forcing France's takers to walk those few extra yards in silence. Kingsley Coman denied. Aurelien Tchouameni rattled, dragged wide. 2 kicks, 2 broken nerves. By the time Montiel buried the winner, Martinez had already transformed a pressure shootout into a one-man psychological clinic. Argentina were world champions, Messi was immortal, and Martinez, he walked away with the Golden Glove, which he famously and cheekily held to his crotch in celebration. Half the world gasped, the other half laughed, but everyone understood the villain had won. Across major tournaments, Martinez had now faced 24 penalties and saved nearly half. Numbers that shouldn't be real. But stats alone can't explain it. What he really saved wasn't just goals, it was moments. He turned fear into fuel, tension into a weapon, In a World Cup defined by chaos, Martinez was the conductor, orchestrating madness with every grin and gesture. But when you bend the game eventually bends back. By early 2023, the complaints started pouring in. Opponents called his antics unfair. Coaches fumed in press conferences, referees admitted they felt helpless. Penalty shootouts were supposed to test nerve, not sanity. Martinez had turned them into a mind maze. IFAB, football's lawmakers, started reviewing the shootouts frame by frame. Every smirk, delay, and kick of the ball. What they found wasn't illegal. It was worse. It was too clever. Legal chaos, exploiting every gray area the rulebook forgot to close. So FIFA stepped in. By mid-2023, the Martinez laws were born. Goalkeepers were now forbidden from taunting, delaying, or distracting takers. No more rolling the ball away, no more shuffling or shouting. The circular didn't name him. It didn't have to. Everyone knew who it was for. The man who'd made shootouts unplayable. Then reporters asked him about it. Martinez barely blinked. "I already saved the penalties I needed to save," he said with that trademark smirk. For him, the rule change wasn't a punishment. It was proof. Proof that he'd shaken football so deeply that it had to rewrite itself to stop him. And when asked if he'd change, he grinned again. "We'll always find a way." Because that's the thing about Emiliano Martínez. You can change the law, but you can't change his DNA. The dark arts might be trimmed, but the mind games, they're eternal. From a forgotten loanee at Arsenal to a World Cup champion who forced FIFA to rewrite the laws of football, Martinez's story is the ultimate underdog blueprint.